Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the Eagle Force Goldie Hawk action figure. The Mego toy company is probably most famous for their 8-inch licensed action figures from the 70s, including their World's Greatest Superheroes and Star Trek lines. But by the late 1970s, the tremendous popularity of Kenner's 3 3/4-inch Star Wars figures had Mego, as well as most other toy manufacturers, making similarly scaled 3 3/4-inch action figures. In the early 1980s, Mego decided to take a shot at creating a line of figures in a new 2 3/4-inch size. This line was called the Eagle Force. I don't remember exactly the year when I first heard about the Eagle Force figures. It was probably 1981, but could have been 1982. But I do remember that my introduction to the line came in the form of a television commercial that I thought was absolutely awesome. The commercial worked, and I wanted these figures. Unfortunately, when I saw them for the first time at a store, I was surprised and disappointed that they were so much smaller than all of my other action figures. At 2 3/4 inches, the Eagle Force didn't really fit in with any of my other toy lines. They were made of die-cast metal, so I always assumed that they must have cost more to make, and Mego made the smaller scale to save money. But years later, I found out the reason for their scale was more likely because Mego had recently acquired the molds for a bunch of old Marx vehicles and playsets that were originally sold with little plastic army men. They were too small for the 3 3/4-inch figures that had become the standard size ever since Kenner's Star Wars figures, so the Eagle Force figures were made smaller to fit along with these vehicles. Even though I was disappointed by their size, I still wanted the Eagle Force toys. The 2 3/4-inch scale did show up several more times later in the 1980s, but in 1982, they didn't cross over with any of my other toy lines at the time, so I really only played with them a lot for that first year. Plus, G.I. Joe came out later in 1982 and pretty much became my go-to toy line for the rest of the time that I played with toys. I've had numerous people tell me that Eagle Force was Mego's attempt at a money grab based on the popularity of G.I. Joe, but my memory is that Eagle Force hit the stores before G.I. Joe. Even if they hit at the same time, the work leading up to the release of Eagle Force definitely started in early 1981, so it's not realistic that the Real American Hero line would have been an influence on the Eagle Force line. The Eagle Force was led by Captain Eagle, an eye patch-wearing military man with a steel fist and a pet eagle named Talon. Even though I don't think it was ever stated who was second in command anywhere in the official Eagle Force information, the second in command of my Eagle Force team back in the 1980s was Goldie Hawk, the only female figure in the line. According to her package information, Goldie Hawk was also known as the Blonde Bombardier. The comic story on her card back says that she is one of America's top test pilots and that she can fly anything from a hang glider to the space shuttle. She came with one accessory, a Car-15 Colt Commando submachine gun, which was actually used by the U.S. military from 1966 to about 1970. Air Force pilots specifically used the gun as a survival rifle starting around 1967. Goldie Hawk wore the same gold uniform as the rest of the Eagle Force, with the addition of a shoulder holster and pistol molded onto the figure. I'm not sure why I thought she was supposed to be the second in command, but for whatever reason, I thought she had a higher rank than any of the other characters besides Captain Eagle himself. Ironically, according to an interview at the Mego Museum with Eagle Force artist Paul Kirchner, Mego's VP of Research and Development, Bill Barron, thought that kids would mostly just use Goldie Hawk as a hostage. It never occurred to me that she was supposed to be any less capable than the other members of the team. I think if I had ever wanted to use one of the characters to be a hostage, I would have used the hippie electronics expert Zapper. Although I always thought that he was one of the smarter characters, he seemed like the last one on the team that I'd want backing me up in a fight. But my Goldie Hawk action figure was always a smart, competent, capable member of the Eagle Force team, whether flying a plane or fighting on the ground. Aside from ideas about the characters that came from our imaginations, Everything that kids knew about the Eagle Force and their enemy Riot came from the packaging. The design team definitely did an excellent job creating packaging that helped sell the figures. It may be kind of over the top, but even as an adult, I think the artwork looks sharp. The comic strip on the back was an excellent touch too. Keep in mind, these figures predate Secret Wars, which had a short comic on the back of each package, as well as Masters of the Universe, Superpowers, and all of the other series that included a mini-comic with each figure. Since kids didn't have any idea who these characters were, I think the comic was a great way to introduce these characters to kids. Plus, the comics were actually pretty good both in terms of artwork and story. Several of the figures in the Eagle Force line had some small variations, and Goldie Hawk had one of the more noticeable variations. She was released with both red lips and unpainted lips. When I first noticed this, I thought that maybe the unpainted lips were just the result of the red paint coming off with childhood play. But after picking up a carded figure with unpainted lips, I'm now convinced that it's an actual variation and not just worn-off paint. Aside from my initial disappointment that the figures weren't 3 3/4 inches tall, I really did like the Eagle Force line. I was never able to find some of the figures as a kid in stores, but I did have most of them. I also picked up the Ocean Patrol Adventure Pack, new in the store, and the VOTL Jet that I think I bought from the kid across the street, which was broken when I got it. Before G.I. Joe became my new favorite toy line, I had a lot of adventures with my Eagle Force figures. Even later on, I would still occasionally get out my Eagle Force figures for a few more adventures. But as my G.I. Joe collection grew, I thought less and less about these little golden metal figures. In the late 90s, I discovered eBay and jumped back into collecting the Eagle Force. I still love the concept and packaging, and I still think they're neat little figures. So what do you think about the Eagle Force figures in general, and Goldie Hawk specifically? Did you have any Eagle Force figures as a kid? If you had Goldie Hawk, was she a valuable member of your team, or did she just get used as a hostage in your Eagle Force adventures? Tell me in the comments below. Also, please give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. And one last thing, if you're a fan of toys, you should know about Toylanta, the biggest toy show in the southeastern United States, held annually just north of Atlanta, Georgia, and its new sister show, Joelanta, for fans of G.I. Joe. Visit Toylanta.com for more information about both shows. As always, thanks for watching.